Mura was no stranger to having inspiration from real world when creating Berserk. A lot of architecture that we see in Berserk is inspired by real buildings, and obviously some of the events like Hundred Years' War resemble the Hundred Years' War in real world, the conflict between England and France, and Kushan Empire was a real empire that existed in Asia. And so when Mura passed, I had this idea, maybe there are a bit more information that I can scratch from current Berserk, and if I look at real history and maybe some parallels. And at the beginning, I wasn't really successful. I tried to find, I don't know, some events or maybe like this country is parallel to this country, but it didn't work. And the thing is, Mura never really explored so much of his history of the Berserk world. He was more interested in his characters and current events. But then I was thinking maybe I should not look for like parallel countries or events. Maybe the characters are the key, like the parallels of our characters in real world. And I had quite a lot interesting ideas, I think, and I really wanted to share them with you. And for a lot of characters, obviously, but in this video I want to specifically cover Skull Knight, or as we know him, King Geyserik, because I think we all agree that Skull Knight is a King Geyserik. And really, to see where King Geyserik was in history, we must first look where the story of Berserk takes place currently. And for me, obviously, it is a Middle Age, but it is very hard to pinpoint exact century, really, even because Miura used a lot of different clothing and weaponry for all times of Middle Ages. Basically, if you look at some of the mercenary swords, they're very thick, like something that you would see in earlier Middle Age, but even if you look at Serpico's sword, it is something really even maybe beyond Middle Age, or the clothing of some royals. It really resembles for me like Christopher Colombo, you know, like the end of Middle Age. And yeah, all that you can say, yes, this is the Middle Age. But where would Geyserik be before current story? Like how many years before? And we actually know exact number because God Hand appears every 216 years, and 4 times 216, and you will go between 800 900 years before the current events of Berserk. And really, if you're looking for empire, like the great empire that was really important in like this fictional Europe-inspired thing that Berserk is, and obviously it is a Roman Empire. The thing that backs this up a lot is actually that you see a lot of Greek, Roman inspired architecture when at the bottom of that tower that Griffith was tortured in, like these ruins of this capital that we know King Geyserik resided in. And so yes, when you're like think of Rome, you basically think of two very important people that could possibly be parallels to King Geyserik, and those are Caesar and August. But kinda none of those two really clicked for me, because after their death, Rome did not fall, and in Story of King Geyserik, we obviously know that after his death, like tribes again fought each other and everything went to hell. And then I was thinking maybe Rome wasn't really the right place. Maybe I should look maybe couple 100 years before. And then I stumbled upon the person that kind of ignited my whole idea for this video, because if you look at Geyserik, he was the man who united a lot of countries. He was the man who conquered a lot of countries. He is the man who went to the end of the world, to Elfheim, and found obviously the magical armor and went into the legend. And for me, there was really only one candidate for that in our world, and that would be Alexander the Great, the man who united the Greek countries, who conquered like basically Europe, Asia, wanted to basically, it is connected to him, the story that he wanted to go to the end of the world, and that would really nicely parallel story of King Geyserik. And after his reign, obviously everything went to hell, because these countries that he conquered now were basically without a ruler and started fighting themselves. But also, although that all stack up very nicely, there is also one another thing. Like, although I said like the architecture at the bottom of that tower that Griffith was tortured in was inspired by real world, there were tiny details that kind of did not really went full with that idea that it was Rome, because there were a lot of these, I would say, statues that I would get more like Babylon feeling, Asia feeling, maybe India. because if you look at his armor and those statues, and the thing is, obviously I know all of this like only from my history classes, but Hellenism, like the idea of those countries and those cultures that Alexander conquered, like their culture merging one in another. And really, if you look at Geiseric's armor, it does not really scream only one like culture or something like that. There is a lot of inspirations from these different countries. So I think yes, Geiseric was inspired by Alexander the Great. And there is one final thing why I think he's inspired, because there is a certain person in the life of Alexander the Great that I think inspired the character of Void, and that is possibly Void's connection, and I will cover that in next video. If you like this, I hope that you like that one as well. Maybe this is all a bit far-fetched, but I find it kind of interesting to see if possibly we can find all God Hand in history, and we won't get sadly any new information about the world of Berserk, so like just don't theorize a little bit. And this would be all for this video, and I hope you liked it, and see you next time. Bye.